first of all, thanks for joining us. It's never easy to share your journey, but you are a active member in our community every day, posting, setting intentions. Let me start with, how did you find out about our program? How did you find out about us?
A colleague of mine and I were chatting just sort of between auditions. Somehow we got onto the topic of, history of dieting, of toxic dieting, and then of weight loss. And she was like, have you heard of the Livy Method? She said, here's the podcast link. Just go listen to it whenever you're ready. Set it up on my phone and put it through the car. You were saying you didn't fail at the diets failed you. And I burst into ugly tears in my car. I couldn't drive for like a while. I just sat there outside the theater, because it was exactly what I needed to hear. Because of course, I've been doing this for a really long time. I've tried all the fads. A lot of them worked in the sense that I lost a lot of weight.
Sure.
But fundamentally, they're not designed for me to keep it off. So I didn't.
It's just the way those diets are designed. Never sustainability. Let's go back to your first diet at the age of 11. So you were a dancer, very intense with classic ballet, and your ballet teacher recommended, despite the fact you weren't overweight, that you go on a diet.
She didn't mean any harm by it. It was just that,
of course.
I was 11 and I got puberty early. I hit puberty at age 9. So by 11, I had curves, that in the ballet world are not supposed to be there. I was fit. I looked like a normal 11-year-old who was exercising 5 times a week because I was in ballet school that often. But that was not what was expected of me. So I started food restricting from a very young age, and my mom, whom I love dearly, and we are very good friends. And so she was helping me with this, and on the calendar every day, we would write in my weight. This is a core memory for me, is seeing the calendar with my varied weights as a child.
It was a different conversation back then because people freely talked about dieting. I'm sure she was just trying to support you in your journey at becoming an amazing ballerina. And I think every mom who took their kid to Weight Watchers didn't really understand the effect and the impact that would have on them. Like, they were just trying to support their children. And so many people have that story. And my mom signed me up for Weight Watchers. And I don't think that there was, they didn't mean to do any harm. They probably thought they were like, hey, this is what's available for help out there. And lucky for me that I can sign my kid up to even do this in the first place. And they didn't really understand the impact that it was going to have. Can we talk about your physical health?
Yeah.
Would you call it a disability that you have, a syndrome? How would you describe this?
So I do call it a disability and a chronic illness. Not all chronic illnesses are disabilities. Not all disabilities are chronic illnesses. Mine happens to be both. The definitions of disability just sort of say that it's something that impacts your ability to move through the world in a normal way. And it sure do. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a genetic connective tissue disorder. My connective tissue just wasn't made right on the genetic level, and nothing can teach my DNA how to make it any better. But your connective tissue impacts is part of all of your systems, including your digestive system. Like, most of your guts are connective tissue, honestly. So it's not just that it, makes me sort of wobbly and makes my joints dislocate, but, digesting is hard. My veins don't contract as well as most people's do to push the blood where it needs to be in my head. So it sort of is systemic. My body is sort of under stress trying to function a lot. My inflammation, my baseline inflammation levels are high. That's the reality of my body, and the way that the symptoms in and of themselves can affect my my day-to-day life. That can suck. But it is just like, to me, it is as much a part of my body as like my hair color.
Okay. But I'm going to just give you some props here, because you've gone and lost 40 pounds during the program. And we've talked about inflammation. We've talked about, all the reasons why your weight might be slower to move. This doesn't make it easy for you. Chronic pain, random joint dislocations, fainting. You've had to have some heart surgery. Inflammation obviously is a huge one. Your body just acting beyond your control. But I love what you say here. You've learned not to have expectations of what it will do. And when the scale isn't moving, it isn't failure on your part or your body failing you. It's just part of the process. So,
Mhm.
a lot of people have issues that they need to deal with that it sucks, whether it's health issues that they're dealing with or, whatever is slowing them down when it comes to being able to focus on the things that they need to focus on. It sucks. But how do you move past that? Because I think a lot of people, maybe because yours is a more serious, there's nothing you can really do about it situation, so you've learned to accept it. Whether it's someone who has thyroid issues, they're a diabetic, or they have inflammation, or they have food sensitivities, whatever that might be. How do you reconcile that?
Ooh, that's the big question in all of
Yeah.
disability justice. When you're really facing something that is a sort of health change, I think, which was something that I believe, like if we are all lucky enough to live long enough, we all eventually will. I think it's really normal to have a grief feeling when you're grieving the person that you thought you could be, the dream that you
Mm.
had that changes, and you're grieving your
Mhm.
past self. And that is normal and part part of the process. But grief is powerful and deep and a lot to work through. But we do hopefully move through it, right? And we come to a point where we have learned to live without the thing we've grieved. I believe in cultivating sort of joy as a practice, as an action item that you can do. Because it's very hard to just change your mindset because you want to. That
Yeah.
is
Mhm. Yeah.
not really a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But you can say, okay, well, what does joy actually mean to me in my life? What does that really look like? Not as a sort of vague idea, but what is the thing that brings me joy here and now? Is that a small thing? Is that I want to go out on my balcony when it's sunny and read Lord of the
Mhm.
Rings for the 15th time? Because it totally is that for me. um,
Right.
or is that building a life that sort of generally puts you in a position of more support, of more access? That's what that looks like to me. When you're doing a program like the Livy Method, you're spending so much time imagining your why, right? Or that's what we should be doing. And our
Yeah.
why may not fundamentally be attached to be just attached to weight, right? Like it's attached to your sense of self. It's attached to the way that you move through the world. It's attached to the way that you experience food. It's attached to the way that you experience your own self-worth. Like it can be more expansive. And I think, like as I said, that's where the meat of the program is to me, is was where weight loss interacts with all these other aspects of our lives.
You're just sort of encompassing that, it means different things to different people, and
Mhm.
different people are struggling for different reasons, and
Exactly.
you have to make it make sense to you, and your
Mhm.
why is really important in terms of, like, that's really your motivating factor is you may have to do things that you don't enjoy doing, try to find joy in them. At the end of the day, you're doing them because you have a goal or something that you're trying to reach or trying to something to achieve.
I spent a lot of time with how the way that you perceive the world, the way that you move through the world, and the way that that your brain just sort of naturally interacts with the world, it affects the way that you do little things. After doing this for over a year, sit it down and go, okay, what actually does that mean? What, like,
Mm.
there's because fundamentally, like, you can have practice, and you can have practice with sort of how you're listening, but listening to this system when it's doing the X versus Y, you're still gonna have to learn it. It's not always easy. Sometimes I'm like standing there looking at my torso going, "What are you telling me? What do you want from me?"
Yeah. It's a
uh,
lot.
yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And I think there are ways in which learning to listen to your body, learning to be really in tune, is something that we are forever learning, because the
Yes.
body changes.
Yeah. And life changes.
Life changes. But it's here in these discussions where we're chatting about the reality of the program, the reality of the challenges, etc. That's the heart of the program. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason you say that if you just did the basic food plan and never did anything else, you'd lose weight. Like that's true. That is forever true. But the examination, the stuff that really makes you more aware, more in tune with your body on a sort of a more profound level, a more radical, if I may put it that way, level. That's
Okay.
here. This is where people do their ugly crying because someone said something magical that hit them at the right
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
it's so this is it. It's here. Be here. You don't have to be here
Yeah.
every day and for the entire thing, but take the time when you have the capacity. That's my advice.
That's some great advice because what it's the stuff that's not on paper.
Exactly.
It's the
Mhm.
stuff that's not on paper. That's where the real work is, the insight, the resonating moments. And this is why I love having these segments with very real people with a variety of different backgrounds and, things that they are dealing with or working to overcome and different amounts of weights that they're looking to lose. And
Mhm.
it's just like, I think it's that real insight from real people. I love this conversation today. I love having conversations in a way that just approach the same topic from a variety of different angles. And this conversation with you today it was beautiful. It was wonderful. It was really nice and really insightful and very personal to you. So I just
Mhm.
want to thank you for taking the time to share with us today.
And thank you for making the space for us. This community is so open and welcoming of people's reality. I know that a lot of the stuff that people will share in the comments and in the teas may not be something that they would tell to like even a close friend,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
it's personal and profound. And that's not things, particularly as Canadians, we don't love to get into the meat of that. We love small talk. It's
Yeah.
uh and but this is so much more powerful to have the space to say and explore yourself with community of people who will give you the space to do that. So thank you for making it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Mm.
It is personal and it's profound.
Mhm.
Right? I think that's it. Drop the mic, especially, with all the work that people are doing with this program and this process. It is personal and profound. Robin Hahn, my goodness, thank you so much. Thanks again for joining. Just honestly, my pleasure. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much, Gina. It's a joy.